Biden surrendered to the CCP in disastrous summit with Xi Jinping. Guys, I don't know if you know that. We surrendered to China last night. Yeah. 你们需要练习中文. You need to start studying Chinese. Right? So, because we're already, it's over. We're just completely screwed. Like, we gave him, I don't know how, I'm sure, yes, over Zoom, nonetheless. Like, how terrible. It was a Zoom call. The at 42, hi. We're not doing very well. No, that's right. This is, yeah, so this is, this I want to hear him explain to us how Biden just gave, because they reiterated the one China policy. However, they said don't cross any red lines with Taiwan. China said don't cross any, red lines with Taiwan. And we basically have a stalemate there. We do have troops on the ground in Taiwan right now, still. But I'm sure they'll bring up that Biden probably offered to take them out of there and just give the Chinese ice cream when they arrive.
The Chinese Communist Party, I mean, last night, let's put it in perspective what happened. A week or a few days after Xi sets him up to take total power in China like an emperor. More power.
No, same shit that's been going on for a while. He announced he was going to do this years ago. This is a party conference. Next year is the vote amongst the party conference. Everybody knew this was happening. This isn't like the day of, whatever. Right?
Or than Mao have. Now he's going to have the army report to him. He'll be commander-in-chief of the army. He will be head of the Chinese.
He's always the... Fuck off. He's always commander-in-chief of the army. Look, the Chinese army, the PLA, the People's Liberation Army, is not the army of China. It is the army of the Communist Party. It's very distinct. It's like, imagine if America, after the Revolutionary War, continued to call our army the American Revolutionary Army, because the primary action was as a constant revolt against the threat of monarchy or some shit. We don't do that. We have the United States Army. It is a military arm underneath the Constitution of the United States and protects all citizens equally. The PLA is the People's Liberation Army. It is the army of the Chinese Communist Party. Now, there's only it's a one-party system in China, but if there was ever another party like the Chinese Communist Committee, and they were like trying to vie for control of China, they would not have an army just because they were all Chinese. Kind of an important distinction. But this is he's assuming nobody fucking knows that or cares.
State as president, and he will be chairman of the Chinese Communist Party. He'll directly have control of every part of every organ of the Chinese nation, right? Which they essentially stole.
He already does. That's how their goddamn government works, dum-dum.
Basically stole, and only communists in the State Department back in the 1940s allowed them to steal it, as Joe McCarthy brought up. Remember, McCarthy started off with about how we lost China, how we lost our ally China. China was one of our biggest, most important allies in World War II, and we have never won the Pacific in the time.
And no, we saved China from the Japanese. I know that Bannon's been to China a long time ago, but if you go to Chongqing and let's see, Chongqing, whoops, show you guys something. Yeah, here we go. See if I can find the statute. But there's a, this is from the China Daily. Flying Tigers, Roar of the Brave in China. These are the Flying Tigers were a group of American fighters that fought off the Japanese, and are honored as war heroes in China. There are statues of them there. And this is when they came back to visit. There you go. Dun, dun, dun. These guys, there's statues of these dudes in China because this like little group of fighters kept the Japanese from gaining control of the air over Chongqing. And Chongqing became the capital of China for a period of time. And the way I try to describe it to people is, let's see if I can find a map of, map of China. This is pretty crazy. Let's see if I can do this. Yeah, here you go. So, and remember, most of the people in China live to the right of like this line. See this, like down through here? They live over here. 96% of the people. This is largely desert and other shit. And has expanded since the war too. But here's Chongqing. And then over here, this is Beijing, which many people know is the capital of China right now. And this is Nanjing, if you've ever seen the rape of Nanjing. You got to quit blowing. I love you, Hal, but you got to quit blowing sunshine up China's butt. It's not like they have less blood in their history than we do. Oh, by no means. What are you talking about? I'm making a very distinct difference between what we did in World War II and what Bannon is saying. I'm sorry, Brannon is saying about this. That when the Japanese attacked China, the two capitals, Beijing and Nanjing, were the centers of power, and they retreated to Chongqing. And imagine the equivalent I would make as far as the size of the landmass here. Imagine if the Germans had attacked the east coast of the United States and Washington, D.C. had to retreat, and we ran our country out of Denver for 3 years during the war. Just like factor that into your life. Factor that into your head. Right? If we had retreated DC to Denver in that time. And while that was happening, while their government was in Chongqing and the Japanese were advancing, they'd taken Nanjing. It was brutal and grotesque. They were moving through there. The Japanese pilots were pushing this back because they were trying to basically get them where they could sort of, the idea was that the Germans would eventually encroach this way and they would kind of split, the territories, all this, as they took over the world. And as they pushed this back, it was American pilots around Chongqing that, how is the Hitler right wing? I'm not quite sure what you mean. Democrats in full panic mode. But those pilots I just showed you saved Chongqing from the Japanese. And there are statues of those dudes there. Okay? Just so you know.
One, if we had not had China as an ally, and China, I think, lost 35 or 40 million people in that Great War, right? So how do we lose that? That goes all the way back to the beginning.
No, they lost that many because of Mao and starvation, because of the policies of the country.
At Marxists and communists in the U.S. government, obviously, you had it back then.
Obviously, yeah, overrun with commies. Yeah, totally.
McCarthy was right, and we know it from the Verona files that he was right. And people like the Nation were KGB.
So it was the My Sharona files.
Agents. Was it I.F. Stone, the founder of the Nation, was a KGB operative on their payroll. Of course, they deny that and run around, David Corn and all those guys run around. Oh, no, it didn't happen. Really, it's a misinterpretation. No. Embedded. And that's what we're taking down. They still support it. How does Lori...
Sorry, real quick. I know you're leading up to this is Biden giving away the United States to China, it's a little difficult when the entire Reagan years happened between now and then a long time ago, and it's all of a sudden Biden's fault. All right.
And by the way, people, Sponberger in Virginia 7 and Laurie in Virginia 2, have you condemned the tributary state of America, which is why the illegitimate Biden regime.
Yeah, he repeats things that he wants to make sure that are sampled. This is all, by the way, this is standard like linguistic propaganda work.
Kowtowed last night to Xi. She said, you're playing with fire when you talk about Taiwan, and Biden kowtowed. Oh no, one China policy. What?
No, is that what they said? He said, no, one China policy. Is that how he said it? That's how he said it, asshole? Hold on one second. Let's see. See, This is the primary pushback that came out. Would the U.S. defend Taiwan if China invades? Biden said yes, but it's complicated. That's what everybody says. The reason it's complicated is because everybody's played this stupid footsie about Taiwan for a long time. Taiwan's a fucking country at this point. And it's the only place that, like, in a lot of ways, that true Chinese culture exists. There you go. God damn, these things have a lot of ads on them. Biden on Monday reiterated his administration's commitment to one China policy on Taiwan during the virtual meeting. Cleaning up remarks he said when we come to the defense. But Biden underscored the United States remains committed to the one China policy guided by the Taiwan Relations Act, the 3 joint communiques, and 6 assurances. And the United States strongly opposes unilateral efforts to change the status quo or undermine peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait, meaning leave the government alone. Strongly opposes. This is harsher language than Trump used. The White House said in a readout of the call, which lasted roughly 4 hours. Under the One China policy, the U.S. does not recognize Taiwan as a separate state from China, and under the Taiwan Relations Act of 1979, the U.S. is committed to providing Taiwan with arms for its defense against China. Everyone knows this. That's why it's complicated part. The law does not commit the U.S. to sending troops to Taiwan to defend it, but we have that option, and we currently have troops there. Tensions flared between the two, blah, 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 military flights. And then Biden has subsequently asked at a CNN town hall last month whether we have a commitment to do that. Yes. Comments prompted a tough response from China. There's no room for China to compromise in making decisions. Quickly walked back the comments last month, insisting he was not announcing a policy change. No, just telling you what's going to happen because of he didn't introduce a policy change. That's true. Because under this, we provide them with their defense, and if they get attacked, more than likely we'll be there, especially if our guys are on the ground. The thing is, our guys are always going to be on the ground from now on. Also complicated because Walmart and the computer industry uses China as a place for cheap manufacturing. That's true, Surfer Norm, but not for long. But, Steve wants it to be that way.
We do in the first weeks of the Trump administration, even before he took office. What did we do? We took a call from Taiwan. We set it in motion. That's how we were able to break the Chinese Communist Party and get the trade deal and jam them up. Which
Let's see, when was this? Biden administration shows unwavering support for Taiwan. 10 months into the Biden administration, it's abundantly clear the United States will continue to strengthen ties with Taiwan and defend the island if ever attacked by China. As I previously argued, the Biden administration has routinely signaled its willingness to do both of these things, in effect, doubling down on Trump administration-era policy. Since I wrote last about this topic in February, the Biden administration, through both word and deed, has continued to demonstrate that Taipei would have no worries about Washington's commitment to the island. Indeed, from its very first day in office, the Biden administration set the tone for a strong U.S.-Taiwan partnership. Biden's new Indo-Pacific Coordinator Kurt Campbell invited Taiwan's de facto ambassador to the United States, Xiao B. Kim, to the presidential inauguration ceremony. This was the first time a Taiwanese envoy had been invited since Washington switched diplomatic recognition away from Taiwan for the People's Republic of China in 1979. During his Senate confirmation hearing in January to become Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken argued in favor of keeping Trump-era guidance intact and to end self-imposed contact limits with Taiwan. When Beijing later in the month flew a historic number of warplanes, the Biden-run State Department issued a lengthy statement to staunch support for Taiwan. In part reading, we urge Beijing to cease its military, diplomatic, and economic pressure against Taiwan and instead engage in meaningful dialogue with Taiwan's democratically elected representatives. The United States maintains its long-standing commitments, as outlined in the 3 communiques, the Taiwan Relations Act, and the 6 assurances. Our commitment to Taiwan is rock solid. In March, Biden administration released its interim national security strategic guidance, which notes that we will support Taiwan, a leading democracy and critical economic security partner, in line with longstanding American commitments. We won't do anything about the one China policy if you fuckers don't try to actually act on it. Piss off.
They must be done. This is why I was sanctioned 4 minutes into the Biden regime, along with Mike Pompeo and Potter and Peter.
By the way, regime, if you'll notice, Matt Gaetz uses that, as does Marjorie Taylor Greene. The illegitimate regime and that kind of stuff, they are talking as outsiders to the United States. That's not an accident. These people are Confederates.
And did the Biden administration ever go back when they started to sanction former officials and do anything about it? No. You know why? They're compromised. They're partners with the Chinese Communist Party. All Lao Beijing know it. The whistleblower movement knows it. All the Chinese have left understand what Biden's done. And last night.
Yeah, totally. I mean, honestly, like hold on. Let's see. This is clearly a sign. Now, I understand that the AUKUS agreement, which is Australia, UK, US, to provide Australia with nuclear-powered submarines, not nuclear-armed, nuclear-powered, very distinct, but silent-running submarines, to patrol the Indo-Pacific region and the waters around Taiwan. I can understand where people would think, well, I mean, this is technology the United States has had since 1953. This could have happened last year, or the year before, or the year before that. Just like the exit from Afghanistan. You had a perfect plan. Knock yourself the fuck out. Right? Is there at any point, was there a point in Trump's 4 years in office that materially this was not possible? Anybody? Anybody? Trolls? Anybody? Was there a moment while Trump was president that he could not have done this? Other than he's an asshole, and even though Boris Johnson and the leader of Australia at the time were very Trumpy and very supportive of him, and probably got along with him better than Biden and Johnson do right now in terms of this. But is there something? There's a reason other than trying to get his fucking ridiculous low-end trade deal done? The third of it. The UK, the US, and Australia have announced a historic security pact in the Asia Pacific that has been seen as an effort to counter China. That's how China sees it. They're pissed. Are we changing our policy? No. Are these submarines? We're now docking our submarines until Australia can build their own. We're now docking our military or nuclear-powered submarines in Australia, closer to China than ever before, as part of this agreement. It's not really something you would say is placating China, but Steve can think so. And again, could Trump have done this? Besides, he's a fuck up and he can't do anything right. Could he have could other people have drafted it and he could have signed it? Yeah. Why didn't he? That's a question for Steve Bannon. Because Steve Bannon, methinks, protests too much.
Puts it in print. They kowtow to the Chinese.
Level 1 hype train on Twitch. Thank you guys so much. Don't forget to subscribe. Please subscribe if you get a chance. Price of a cup of coffee a month. And you can help me out through Patreon. You can Venmo me. You can any of the ways. I make it so easy. Just whatever your way. Stars on Facebook. Something. Anything you feel like helping. That's lovely. And now on with the show.
Communist Party. This is signal, not noise. This is why.
That by the way, this is his fucking this is his feature not a bug phrase, right? Now the left loves feature not a bug, which I use with some regularity. Dems, where nerds often will throw up the feature not a bug thing. He does signal not noise. It's the same thing, but it sounds way more military, bruh.
You're losing everything because Wall Street finances them. The global corporations are partners with them, and we have a compromised government.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem we have is all those giant communist multinational corporations.
Drive from hell. By the way, the hard drive from hell was not from Russia, as Brennan and all these liars, and Brennan and the CIA and all those guys stood aside and let.
See, Steve, I just talked about this, man. Bongino just tried to fly this bullshit kite again. Can't fly a turd kite in heavy wind, man. It's not gonna work. And you gotta say laptop from hell and not hard drive from hell, because then people realize that you were there. You helped Rudy negotiate the price. They wanted $3 million. Rudy paid him $5 million. You got to say laptop from hell, not hard drive from hell, because then people know it's a grift. Because laptops, especially the model that is alleged, none of the Apple laptops have 2 hard drives. This doesn't happen. I'm confused. Is that signal or noise? Is it signaling? Oh, thank you, Carlene. Fear not. I appreciate it. Don't worry.
Rise of China Communist Party and the infiltration in the United States, and said nothing and did nothing except let some mole in the CIA kill all of our agents in China. Was it the 22 agents that were murdered, tortured, right?
During the Trump administration? Now, who was it that was joking about classified information with Sergei Lavrov in the Oval Office that led to the death of an Israeli spy? And who thinks for a second that in their negotiations between China that the Russians wouldn't use some information that they have directly from the White House as leverage?
In the CIA on their watch? This is the war that they have brought to us, and we're going to fight it every day, and we don't care what shifty shift, and we don't care what the Marxist, from his Marxist traitor father, little Jamie Raskin, and the Farrakhan mouthpiece, Benny Thompson, brilliant Benny Thompson, brilliant in quotes, Benny Thompson, Raheem Kassam.
That was a weak little bunny fuck you, by the way, coming through there. But everybody's a member of the Chinese Communist Party. This is his argument. Right.
Report on Loria.
Yeah. Ryan, exactly. That happened in 2017 when Trump was president and couldn't negotiate, like to sell shit to China and to deal with the trade imbalance, that motherfucker would sell us. That's why he was America first. America is the first bargaining chip in Trump's business deals.
People in Virginia Beach should let's get her phone number up. They should pound her office today with phone calls and messages about, why are you supporting the Chinese Communist Party? Why are you making money off the Chinese Communist Party? How can you represent my hometown, Norfolk, Virginia, the greatest naval base in the world? How can you represent people down there in Virginia Beach in that area?
Where the technology that will be partnered with the Australians and the Brits will create nuclear-powered submarines that are made using American technology that the Australians pay for, but are built in Australia in a combined pushback against China that Trump could have done but didn't do, so that he could sign one phase of a three-phase trade deal that the Chinese only honored a third of. $30 billion deal. They bought $11 billion worth of shit. And yeah. What is that what you're talking about?
The Naval Air Station. How can you do that with these patriots down there and financially make money off the Chinese Communist Party? What type of person are you, Raheem Kassam?
Look, overnight.
Look, I don't understand, Steve, what the fuck you're talking about. I really don't. And ultimately, even though I'm here on a work visa, I'm just here as a member of the Conservative Party of England to like push back and shit on your country. So I don't know.
You know, while you were sleeping, ladies and gentlemen, the White House puts out this statement. Now, Steve, they had already done an immense amount of work to kind of play down expectations of this summit. You know, Jen Psaki was up there saying, no, the two of them, they're not old friends. Of course, Xi opens his comments last night saying, great to see my old friend Joe Biden again.
Yeah, that's how Chinese people work. The whole economy is based on guanxi. Like, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours kind of stuff. All of it. It's an interpersonal, kleptocratic graft factory. If you want to open any kind of a business, you have to grease the palms of everybody. Like that's why Trump thinks he knew how he could deal with Xi, because he felt like, well, I did that with the mob. It's the same thing.
They had played down. They said, "Oh, all we're trying to do."
Hold on, Raheem, slow down.
Raheem, don't remember. You have to say what you're saying 3 times in 3 different ways, so we can cut it into chunks. A big one, a small one, and a single word thing, so we can farm headlines. Because we're not giving information here. We're trying to sell pillows.
Raheem, slow down. You got to make that go. That is huge. She and these guys don't say any. They never wing it. Okay, it's not a society that wings it, particularly an official.
Yeah, it's almost as if they're trying to manipulate the situation. So of course they're going to say my old friend. That is the opposite of saying everything he says is genuine. Good Lord.
It's like court. It's like the Emperor's court. Go back about my old friend. They had asked him, please do not say that, and he said it anyway. Old friend means you're a tributary state ruler.
Lao Peng Yo does not mean you're a tributary state owner. What? He didn't call him Didi, you dumb motherfucker. Or make Biden call him Guga, which is older brother. Get out of here.
That is exactly right. So actually, let's reset on that writ large. Remember, Biden has.
Let me back up and bullshit from another angle, because my boss doesn't think I'm bullshitting enough.
Multiple times bragged about his dozens of hours of one-on-one private meetings with Xi. I mean, we put in a FOIA request into the State Department over a year ago now, asking for details: when, where, who was in the room, what did they discuss, any readouts, anything else. They came back to us and they said, yeah, we'll get back to you by 2023, April 2023. So we got some time to wait for our.
Yeah, because they have to do with deals that will play out in that time, and during that period, they'll review it and tell you to go fuck off.
Yeah, on this one. But Biden's bragged about this for a long time, but now they're heading into this, quote unquote summit. Let's be clear. This was.
Yeah, but he's also bragged about this, adding on the extra piece of information that Xi Jinping doesn't have a democratic bone in his body. That he's a smart guy, but he has no interest in democracy at all, and they don't think it will work. And so why would you go into this thing thinking there's going to be any giant movement? Only Trump would walk into this going, I think it's going to be great. We're going to have such a great deal. Why would you expect that from a dude that clearly not only doesn't give a shit about democracy, but wants to see its demise?
Summit. This was a I'll say what I said last night. This was the VP of sales.
Yes. Repeat yourself. Say it again, sorry?
Was calling into head office, right? Get the pat on the head and to get the instructions for the next quarter, for the next fiscal.
Did you hear that? According to these guys, the current sitting president of the United States is the VP of sales for China, and is getting his orders for the next quarters. And what did he start this off with? Was that Xi Jinping called him Lao Pengyo to show him he was a subsidiary? These guys are making the argument that he absolutely is. If there's a Chinese talking point happening in any of this, it's coming from this show.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it transpired as. When you read the White House's statement that comes out last night, after Xi opens with, hey, good to see you, my old friend, when Biden desperately didn't want him to say that, the White House own readout leads with the United States remains committed to the one China policy, guided by the Taiwan Relations Act, the 3 joint communiques, and the 6 assurances. This could have...
That's what the State Department said under Trump. We do. That didn't change.
Written by a man in Beijing, not by a man in Washington, D.C. And that is on the official whitehouse.gov website. This is the official readout. It's being reflected.
Hold on. Fighting COVID-19. Updated fact sheet. President Air Force One departure. Remarks by press gaggle. Bipartisan infrastructure bill. Administration. Let's see. Let's see. Maybe it's under news. What do we think? Menu. Administration priorities. Briefing room. Message Senate amendment to the Montreal Protocol on substances that deplete the ozone layer. Remarks by President Biden in press gaggle. They didn't post it on here what it was called, so I'll have to scroll back through there. Let's see. Oh, here you go. Readout of let's see. This is from the White House. This is the briefing room. Readout of President Biden's virtual meeting with President Xi of the People's Republic of China. Met virtually on November 15th with Xi. Two leaders discussed the complex nature of relations between our two countries and the importance of managing competition responsibly. As in previous discussions, the two leaders covered areas where our interests align and areas where our interests, values, and perspectives diverge. See, it opened with, he called me his friend, so I had to tell him it was okay if he attacked Taiwan. Oh yeah, should we do that comparison this way? I don't understand, but I can read like they can read. Let me see what the reading words are. The reading words said diverge, diverge. I spoke French. President Biden welcomed the opportunity to speak candidly and straightforwardly to President Xi about our intentions and priorities across a range of issues. He underscored the United States will continue to stand up for its interests and values, and together with allies and partners, ensure the rules of the road for 21st century advance in international system, free, open, and fair. That sounds fun. Free open affair. I'd like to go to the fair, but only when it's open. Because if you go after dark, you'll get crushed under the rides. I heard that. That's so true. President Biden raised concerns about PRC's practices in Xinjiang, in Tibet, and Hong Kong. And why did he say Taiwan? Oh, here it is. On Taiwan, President Biden underscores the United States remain committed to one China policy guided by Taiwan Relations 3 Joint Communication, and that the United States strongly opposes unilateral efforts to change the status quo or undermine peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait. President Biden also underscored managing strategic risk, no need for common sense guardrails. Don't do the bad stuff. He raised specific transnational challenge where interests intersect, such as health security. Stop sending those big sniffles. Don't send the bad sniffles anymore. Don't send the bad sniffles anymore. In particular, too, they discussed nature climate crisis. Try to get them to stop using coal. PRC play. They also discussed taking measures to address global energy supplies because they're using a lot of oil and coal right now, and they run out of the coal, so they're buying all the coal. Two leaders also exchanged views on key regional, including North Korea, Afghanistan, Iran. Finally, two sides continued the number of areas. That was a big, long call. I must stay connected. I must send an email. Now, we just started the whole thing started in paragraph 3 to say the thing. And then you come out and say that was the first thing they said. Is that what you said? Is that what he said? What happens? Tell us again.
On this one. But Biden's bragged about this for a long time, but now they're heading into this, quote unquote summit. Let's be clear. This wasn't a summit. This was I'll say what I said last night. This was the V.
It was something else.
Of sales calling into head office, right? Get the pat on the head and to get the instructions for the next quarter, for the next fiscal year. And that's exactly what it transpired as. When you read the White House's statement that comes out last night, after
well, I just did. I read the White House's statement. That's what we just read.
With, hey, good to see you, my old friend, when Biden desperately didn't want him to say that.
I didn't see the part where desperate not to say that. Why desperate not to say that? Who cares what the man say? Is it you guys upset because when Xi Jinping talked Trump last year, he called him a fat tub of goo?
White House own readout leads with the United States remains committed to the one China policy, guided by...
Does it open with that? I read it, didn't seem to open. You were part of it, but also tell him to take it on the heel and toe, man.
Taiwan Relations Act, the 3 joint
disgusting,
and
disgusting.
The 6 assurance.
Oh, somebody just got a whiff of themselves. Do you have a full dipole? Sometimes that's what I would say. When I was like 4 and 3 months and 2 years and 4, I would sometimes go poo. And that was the first thing that I said. I would go, disgusting, disgusting. And Mom would come in and she'd go, what happened? And I go, disgusting, disgusting. And then she would pick me up and put her hand on my butt and it would be a squishing noise. And then she would take me to the table and make it all better. So he probably has a full dipole.
This could have been written by a man in Beijing, not by a man.
Oh, I see. Could have been written. But wasn't. It was written by a lady.
Washington, D.C., and that is on the official whitehouse.gov website. This is the official readout. It's being reflected incredibly poorly, even in the corporate left media. The New York Times report on
oh dear.
The play-by-play is absolutely scathing. They talk about how Xi had backed Biden into a corner. They said his vivid language and strident rhetoric. He said, he had said, if you're it's playing with fire.
Okay, hold on a second. Hold on a second. I need to come back. This is yeah. I'm not letting this stand. Hang out. Yeah. What if it was a woman? Exactly. So the New York Times. Sorry. By the way, remember how when Trump was in office, New York Times was fake news, and now they're like, this is their go-to source for what really happened? Just put a pin in that. Just, shall we? Okay. Biden, Xi, readout, whatever. Yeah, this is clearly what we're all reading the same thing, right? Right? What's his name? What this fucker's name? Raheem? You and Steve, we're just looking at the same paper, New York Times. You called it up. This is what it says. U.S.-China summit produces little more than polite words, but they help. In a chilly relationship of mutual distrust. See, I don't think that's the case. I think Raheem is making the case that we trust China because we're dumb and gullible and weak and stupid and we basically work for them, but they don't trust us, and that's because they're smart. Staving off the prospect of a broader conflict between two superpowers counts as progress. The virtual meeting between President Biden and Xi Jinping produced no breakthroughs in a relationship that has spiraled dangerously downward. That was not the intent. Instead, the two leaders sought to keep the many disputes between the two countries from escalating into a broader conflict. If they could translate their words into a kind of détente, it would count as a diplomatic success. It seems clear to me we need to establish some common sense guardrails, Mr. Biden told Mr. Xi in opening remarks, speaking over what amounted to be the equivalent of a Zoom call from the Roosevelt Room in the White House and the East Hall and the Great Hall of the People in Beijing. By the way, the reason that this didn't happen somewhere else is because Xi Jinping is not going to leave China. He won't leave in the next year. He probably won't leave if he lives. He won't leave after that for years, because if he steps outside the country, there's a very strong chance that some of the folks in the CCP that don't like what he's doing might steamroll and take over his seat. It would not be good. It'd be a Russian spy visiting a park in Germany kind of stuff. Mr. Xi calls for his my old friend, used a nautical metaphor comparing the two countries to ships that must together navigate the ocean's winds and waves without colliding. Yeah, the poetry. Bubbling under the surface, though, was acrimony that could prove difficult to resolve. See, I'm sure Steve and those guys would read that out. Why wouldn't those guys read that out, guys? How come? Yeah, Raheem, why didn't you focus in on that one? Raheem, it's almost like you and Steve are rooting for China in this exchange. You fuck. At the end of 3.5 hours of talks, the two did not even cobble together the sort of joint statement that was typically punctuated summits between the United States and China over the decades. See, I would have thought that, we've been over this, like, they could just release something in Mandarin about how we bent over and took it up the poop chute, and they can have whatever they want, and McCarthy was wrong, and whatever. Xi's last meeting with an American President, Donald Trump, in 2019 also ended up with no joint statement, marking deterioration in ties, nor did the meeting end with any agreement to have groups of officials, both sides, hold further talks on strategic nuclear issues and conflicts in cyberspace, the way Mr. Biden did in his summit with Putin. We are not expecting a breakthrough. After the talks with Xi ended, there were none. A scene in Hotang, Xinjiang, China. Let's see. Instead, the two sides issued their own statements, each emphasizing the points of long-standing contention. They amounted to catalogs of mutual grievances that offered little room for compromise. Yeah, China has big fucking problems right now, and we can literally cross our arms and watch them happen. Fuck old people in politics. No, take their ageism on the heel and toe. Wisdom has value. Biden raised concern about human. Kim Jong-un is young. Ann Coulter's 20 years younger than, hell, Candace Owens is half Biden's age. You're right. Youth is better in all circumstances. Let's see. Biden raised concerns about human rights abuses in Xinjiang, Tibet, and Hong Kong, and about China's unfair trade and economic policies harming American workers. White House statement said, Mr. Xi, according to China's readout, said that America's support for Taiwan was playing with fire and explicitly warned the world risks slipping back into the superpower confrontations of half a century ago. Engaging in ideological demarcation, camp division, group confrontation will inevitably bring disaster to the world. This is a bunch of wolf warrior bullshit. Mr. Xi said, a clear reference to a pillar of the new administration strategy for challenge on a team up like-minded nations. This is camp division. This is AUKUS and the Indo-Pacific joint, the Quad. Under that reference, Xi plunged directly into the debate now underway in Washington about whether two powers are descending into something akin to the Cold War, or whether the deep economic, trade, and technological links between China and the U.S. make a comparison to the old United States, Soviet, impossible. No, because everybody's moving out. The tone of the meeting was a reminder that China perhaps inevitably remains what Mr. Biden and his top advisors have cast as the greatest geopolitical challenge to the United States in its history. They have rejected the Cold War comparisons as overly simplistic. And as Mr. Biden's national security advisor Jake Sullivan put it, we have the choice not to do that. China is going to be a factor in the international system for the foreseeable future. It's not going anywhere, and the United States is not going anywhere, and we're not going anywhere in the Indo-Pacific either, meaning we're staying there. And so we're going to have to learn how to deal with that reality. They're not getting us out of the Indo-Pacific region, is what they're saying. Is what Sullivan is saying. Although the two leaders have spoken by telephone twice this year, the conference was intended to replicate the more thorough discussions of issues in previous summits between the United States and China, something that has not been possible because of the pandemic. And political preoccupations have kept Mr. Xi from traveling since 2020. Is that what it is? Pandemic and political preoccupations? Xi hasn't left China in 21 months. Now, there were Fox News assholes on Twitter last night saying that we were having a Zoom meeting because this way the staff could control what Biden could say and they could shut the call off if anything went south. Because they were running interference for Xi Jinping, who can't fucking leave the country without putting his own life and his power in danger. They got problems. This is true. Yeah. Let's see. They have video conference last year between Xi and the leaders of the European Union. One of the reasons, by the way, we interjected in the French deal with Australia was that after Merkel stepped down, Macron is trying to push himself to the front of the line and become the primary leader, the de facto leader of the EU, the way Xi was seen as the de facto leader of the EU. And so he wants to be the kind of the front man on this. Well, they made a deal as Trump was going out the door last year about trade and stuff like that, sort of without the clearance of the United States, without running it by us first, because they knew we wouldn't like it, and they knew Trump didn't give a fuck. So, anyways, back. Oh, sorry, Hakeem, you were busy with Chinese talking points.
Incredibly poorly, even in the corporate left media. The New York Times report on this, the play-by-play is absolutely scathing. They talk about how Xi had backed Biden into a corner. They said his vivid language and strident rhetoric. He said, he had said, if it's playing with fire, and if you play with fire, you're going to get burned. An outright threat by Xi.
Did we miss that part of it? Communist Party, private side of your infrastructure, both leaders dissatisfied state of the relationship, mindful of the risk of the incident between our militaries could quickly spin out. No one meeting could have resolved the enormous divisions between the two companies. Trade war that Trump started remains unresolved. China still has 180 billion short of a pledge to. Oh yeah, that part. With China still more than $180 billion short of a pledge to purchase $380 billion in American products before a deadline of December 31st. You think that's going to fucking happen? You think that China's going to buy $180 billion worth of U.S. goods between now and December? They fucked off that entire deal. Administration disguised what was said in the nuclear buildup. underscore the importance of managing strategic risks. I mean, the stuff they're going to... they included disputes over grant visas for diplomats, journalists, and others, as well as a possible invitation to attend the Winter Olympics in Beijing. Many also expect the effort to create a forum for discussing disputes like those established by Bush and Obama. Two sides did agree on talks among lower-level officials. That's how it's going to... Yeah, of course. All the right things were said by both sides to stabilize a relationship marked by mutual mistrust, said Rory Daniels, security specialist for the National Committee on American Foreign Policy in New York. Question moving forward is how each side will invite... Okay. Is there another article from this? Let's see. This is the article. This is 6 hours ago. 14 hours ago. To hold, that's 10 hours. Why is there an article? Did they update it? Will hold. Okay, this is the break. Met for about 3 hours. Here's what you need to know. Okay, sorry, virtual locations. Despite the physical distance, the two talked. Setting underscore importance of meetings, Zoom, and even an Zoom called the Roosevelt Room of Fame meeting area in the White House. Nixon, 1979. It's Xi Dao from the East Hall of the Chinese founder of the People's Republic. In a video broadcast, the meetings. Kang Hui, an anchor for China State television broadcaster, pointed out the East Hall citing many high-profile state visits. More recently, this with strict protocols, lengthy quarantine. During the summit, he was candid about his concerns with the state of human rights in China, the administration said. I'm sure that just slipped Bannon's mind and Hakim's mind. The authoritarian leader decades has been accused of overseeing a widespread rollback of individual freedom. Do you think? We do not approve of interfering in other countries' internal affairs through human rights, he told Mr. Biden. Yeah. Tell that to the people of Tibet, the Mongolians, and the Russians. China has drawn secure... Okay, bye. Was stuck by... Trump's administration's accusation of genocide in Xinjiang, more recently also raised concerns. Was stuck by the Trump administration's accusations. Oh, has stuck by. Duh. Citizen Journal, yeah, because anybody can see that. President Biden has worked quickly to enlist allies to join his campaign to pressure China on issues such as human rights. She previously dismissed what Beijing sees as sanctimonious preaching. By the way, anytime you see people on Twitter and other places going, how dare America judge what other people do, as if there's an equivalence between what we've done in the world and what China's doing currently, much less in the past, go fuck yourself. It's goddamn childish. So that's that. Still didn't see any of the kowtowing. I'm sure it's in there somewhere.
And almost Biden done. Has nothing to say on that. The headline halfway through the piece on the New York Times report on this says, China counts the meeting as a win, achieved without any compromise, not on trade, not on...
All right, we're like watching a different article, virtual meeting. China counts the meeting as a win. Expecting a break. They don't post the articles that they're referencing, so I'm looking at what the New York Times has said about this. I think your question, but offer no meet a minute. New York Times. Oh, I see. Here you go. This is
climate, not on Taiwan.
What he's talking about. See, look at this. So this is from the here's what you need to know. This is what he's talking about as far as headlines in the middle of the article. They do this quick, kind of like Axios quick read thing. U.S. and Chinese leaders spoke about human rights, Taiwan, and trade. Playing with fire. Taiwan is the hottest hot button issue between the U.S. and China. China counts the meeting as a win achieved without any compromise. The two sides offer... Yeah, well, who gives a fuck what they consider it? So do we. We didn't compromise either. The two sides offer softer rhetoric with little apparent progress on trade. The summit was virtual, but the location was carefully chosen. Biden pressed Xi on human rights. That's, of course, if you notice the priority when it comes to the New York Times, look where they listed this. On climate, the U.S. and China see some common ground. It may not be enough. Question hangs over the summit. Is this a Cold War? So let's see. China counts this. Okay, whoops. There you go. That's where you click to this. Hi. How you doing? There it is. Love you. Feeling all right? Understood. She had me do a lot of the same stuff at the gym you did. Yeah. Yes. My girl just walked in. Give me a minute. Love you. Huh? That's fine. I'll take that. Normal. Yeah. That'll work. Sounds like a plan. Okay. Love you. No. I think we're good. I know Chip was upstairs sleeping on the bed last time I saw him. Oh, they are? Okay. Well, very possibly. If I yell Chip, that's what it'll be. Everybody says hello, by the way. So this is the China counts the meeting as a win achieved without any compromise. That's their clip point. From China's perspective, the virtual meeting itself amounts to a vindication of its strategy to wait out the new administration. An assertion without any clarity. After the tumult of the Trump years, China's leaders hoped to reset the relationship with the United States when President Biden took office in January. When that didn't happen, officials seemed surprised, then angry. Senior officials lashed out at Mr. Biden's national security team, challenged China on a variety of issues, from Taiwan to the western region of Xinjiang, where the State Department has declared a genocide of Uyghurs and other predominantly Muslim ethnic minorities is underway. By the way, this is China's biggest problem with Afghanistan right now, just so you know. Hell, a year from now, China and Russia are in a shitstorm like Republicans. Agreed. I would argue, though, that they're both already in it. There's a reason why Russia basically reversed the feed on its natural gas pipeline from Europe, because they need everything they can get. They're broke as fuck. And China's in the same shit. In a speech in Beijing in July celebrating 100 years of Chinese communism, China's leader Xi Jinping warned, the Chinese people will never allow foreign forces to bully, oppress, or enslave us. Well, yeah, of course not. Especially when American fighter pilots stopped that from happening. Whoever nurses delusions of doing that will crack their heads and spill blood on the Great Wall of steel built from flesh and blood of 1.4 billion Chinese people. Like, whatever. This is what they call wolf warrior diplomacy. Do you guys know about this shit? So, Wolf Warrior is the highest grossing movie in Chinese history because the Chinese party made everybody buy tickets. And it's like they tried to make their own Rambo movie without any of the self-reflection. Like, think what you will about sort of the American macho of the Rambo movies, but they're not jingoistic, America fuck yeah movies. They are not. The first one is him coming back and being treated like shit for being a vet and losing his mind when he has PTSD. The second one, he's gone to jail for what he did. They have a chance to get a full pardon and get his stuff back if he goes and gets photographs of POWs in Vietnam, and then they betray him and leave him there. And he has to fight his way out. And then the third one is like the Russians are they're like fucking with the Yusuf Saad and the people of Afghanistan, and they're killing people like crazy, and they're making a big move over there, and Troutman comes and asks him to help, and he's like, I'm done. And then Troutman goes and does the mission. He gets captured, and it's a personal mission to go save his friend and his mentor from this place on his own. And it's not even a war of country. Rambo was not at all like nationalistic rah-rah bullshit by any measure, as much as they try to make it out at all. I'm a big fan of all three movies. I love it. The third movie is dedicated to the valiant people of Afghanistan, for fuck's sake. Wolf Warrior, on the other hand, every white person is fucking racist as shit and thinks Chinese are subhuman. The dude who plays the villain in Winter Soldier starred in it and didn't realize when he was cast in it that he was being suckered into this thing, apparently, at least according, yeah. So, and everything, here we go. Yeah, let me see if I can do, let's see if I can show you. Yeah. So these are the, these are the movies about it. And this dude, Rumlow, from Winter Soldier, he's the American villain in it. and this is the hero of it, and the whole thing is just like it's Chinese racial superiority. It's fucking gross. It is straight up Nazi nationalism. Yeah. Yeah, Wolf Warrior is a Chinese movie. Yeah, Frank Grillo, right? It's fucked up. And I've seen it. It's goddamn ridiculous. And the idea is that, like, we want a Rambo movie too, with none of the self-reflective aspect of it at all. And now they have what's called Wolf Warrior diplomacy, meaning they're just gonna fucking threaten everybody. Yeah. It's douchey and stupid and like mega violent, and everybody gets stabbed in the eyeball because one guy gets beat up because he has a like near to death by American soldiers, like just basically mercenaries, but they're meant to be Americans. He has a Chinese flag patch that says "I fight for China" on it, and then they beat him up and they rip it off, and they're like, "You really fight for China? This is blah blah blah. Why would anybody?" And then the dude like avenges the beating. It's fucked up. It's so. And again, look at the Rambo movies through, away from whatever the media narrative of what you heard about those movies. They're pretty balanced in the experience of what they're doing. Obviously, the Russians are the abject bad guys in the third movie. Unlike, let's say, the Vietnam movie, where there's good people in Vietnam, the North Vietnamese, and then the people in the South, the Free Vietnamese, that kind of stuff. The Russians are the only people you're seeing because it all takes place at one base. Just fucking kill everybody. They just strafe bomb a village. They don't give a shit. All that stuff. This thing is like, there's none of that. It's all just, and it's so on the goddamn nose. It's hilarious. So, yeah, and by the way, the Rambo movie about Myanmar literally renewed interest in the conflict worldwide. The fact that the movie came out and it opens with this sort almost like mini documentary pre-credits to kind of explain context of what's happening there, the genocide that was going on there, and these like missionaries who want to go up there and help the people in the villages. Yeah. So it's just fucking dumb. And the dude Grillo was interviewed about it. He's like, I had no idea I was in a straight up Chinese propaganda movie. It's not. I mean, the Goebbels would blush.
On nothing.
Yeah.
Biden took one of the biggest, and he's taken a lot of L's in his time. He took one of the biggest L's in his lifetime last night. This is just an extraordinary development, and it's very clear to see. Go through social media, look at the sentiment analysis, even amongst left-wing reporters. They're all saying, what was this trash? Nothing happened. You just got rolled. Even on trade, little progress. The word.
Yeah, there was no expected progress. We are at a stalemate. Fucko, there's nothing to be had. Okay, this is just aggravating. Hold on. I've done this before, but can I just catch people up for one goddamn second? This right now. Let's see. Let me find the newest stuff, just so that I'm not showing you the same shit. Well, here you go. Hey, this is a little video right here.
Joe Biden is moving ahead with a terrifying plan to encircle China by planting U.S. troops on islands around the mainland country, amid growing fears of military conflict. There are mounting
listen to this shit. U.S. military moves ahead with secretive plans to encircle China in the South China Sea News. Now, and this is U.S. defense line. Take it what you will. I don't buy this. This is
concerns that war could break out between the U.S. and China. Former UK MP George Galloway warned that an accidental military conflict could erupt as the US floods the region with its soldiers. This comes amid a high-level Pentagon
Wait, this is, yeah. That's,
plan to send US troops to the Pacific to be in close quarters with China. The US is...
By the way, for the record, this part is true. We have a bunch of ships near Taiwan. We have a bunch of them over by Australia, and then we're pairing with the Indian Navy as well right now. Let me show you the other stuff though. That just came up. I want to show you something. Let's see. Man. Yeah, here you go.
China massive flood drive 700,000 from home.
Hold on. There's tons of like this kind of footage in here. See if they've got, yeah, there you go. Look at that right now. Like imagine dozens of situations like this all through the Midwest. They have these reservoirs that they haven't controlled the volume. Yeah, there you go. Dude, it's fucked over there right now. Dozens of areas. Look at, okay, by the way, see this area right here? See this shit? Okay, this is a tunnel. This is like an underground tunnel, like an express lane on the freeway. And you can take the tunnel, or the locals are on the outside, and the interior is that. Yeah. And this is where all the fast cars are going. Look at this pile of cars, by the way. This goes underground, and there are hundreds of cars this direction, down that way. Down the road this direction. Underneath these bridges that basically create a tunnel across the city or whatever. According to them, something in the order like 30 people died in flooding in the entire region. Yeah, 27 dead, right. Bullshit. Stop having 20 kids apiece. They don't have 20 kids apiece. They've had a one-child policy for a long time. But they're trying to tell you, imagine seeing this and somebody from the mayor of a city goes, we've got like 3 people hurt. Get the fuck out. Like these, these are all underwater because it goes downhill. Jesus. It's fucking heartbreaking. And the idea that Xi Jinping, we're somehow, kowtowing to them because we're at a stalemate. Yeah, they've got 3,000 dead from COVID in a country of allegedly 1.2 billion people. Nonsense. But these assholes are selling you CCP talking points because I haven't heard a single word from them say anything that China is strong and in a great position and is awesome.
The New York Times, Steve, it was a total disaster.
By the way, if you're on the left, this is what I was trying to say yesterday on the courthouse, you guys are getting rolled by these people. Look, we're not, we think transhumanism is 100 more important and more of an existential threat than, the march of AI and all that, as we prove every week, than climate change, right? Which is still a theory.
Sorry. So transhumanism and AI are a bigger danger than climate change. Transhumanism, he means like pig kidneys in people and gain of function viral research, which Obama stopped and Trump, as I've shown, opened back up and continued funding. Yeah, we're getting rolled. Whoops, sorry.
One more time before we go to break, to set the stage of what a surrender this was last night And this is why I was disagreeing with Navarro last night. He was thinking kind of in the context of the Clinton era. This is where Biden has embraced that America is a subsidiary state, a tributary state to the Chinese Communist Party. Raheem Kassam.
Based on what? Honest to God, where? Yes, you know how we've always talked about like how if you hear the border is open, you're hearing it from a Republican. If you turn on the news and you're in another country and you hear an American senator speaking and they say the border's open, come on in, and it's being translated into your local language, and you're like, shit, the border's open. Biden's letting everybody in. Who is on screen? Is it a Democrat or a Republican? Every fucking time it's a Republican. Meanwhile, from this stalemate, look, we have some things to say to you, you have some things to say to us, but we'll have some people meet over things that we can kind of agree on, especially climate change, because I gotta say we tried, but I don't trust you and you don't trust me, nor should I trust you. So let's get through this, shall we? The readout from that is, from these guys, is that China is strong and is getting stronger. If you hear China's amazing, China's powerful, China's owns the future, you're going to hear it from these assholes.
Yeah, and Joe Biden, I mean, somebody posted this yesterday on social media, this 30-second clip of just the sheer number of times that Joe Biden has talked up China's rise. Joe Biden talks up China's rise more than he talks.
Yeah, because they're trying to get people out of poverty. They've been working with the Chinese government, and it's been true. Since they opened their markets, it worked. Fewer people died in China because of it. But it was always balanced with look, we're very glad that they're helping and people aren't dying of starvation. They were in the 70s where people were like literally making their kids eat broccoli by saying people are starving in China. You remember that? That's a good thing. However, blah, 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 blah. However, we are not going to. However, we have to blah, blah, blah. But you take out all those pieces and it looks like a snow job.
America, more than he talks about America's role in the world. America.
Bullshit.
Right, American greatness. He never does that, but he's always talking.
He does it all the time. He's literally said America's back. We're going to own the future. Like he's talked about it in those terms specifically about the infrastructure bill, that's one of the primary purposes of it.
China, we got to help China, bring China to the table, everything to do with China.
When he's talking about China, not random, like in the middle of a meeting about domestic cattle ranching, like, let's not forget China needs some help in this area. Like, garbage.
Situation last night we saw unfold. They say, oh, it went on super long. It went on 4 hours. Yeah, it went on 4 hours because there's no doubt in my mind, what you didn't get through the readouts on the White House website is that the Chinese delegation was haranguing, harassing, and humiliating the American delegation. And the second reason
Again, if you hear Chinese propaganda, you're going to hear it from Steve Bannon and Hakeem here. Just talking out their ass. I know they didn't write it, but I know for a fact that they harangued them and threatened them and like bullshit. It was a boring meeting. Guaranteed. 4 hours going over point by point. Like this. But hey, somebody's got to carry the CCP's balls.
So long as, guess
Blinken.
What? Biden can't get his words out straight.
Biden can't get his words out straight. Yeah, but Bannon can. Sorry, Brannon. Jesus.